They should.
Like,
Helping parents and not helping parents to the residents.
Do you want us
I'm
to
not feeling
switch off the light?
So what do you think it takes place in the
And I'm happy with that.
Okay.
And I'm happy with my.
Like helping children is the worst.
Oh, sorry, we're done.
Great. So again, I'm Bethany Gardner. Thank you so much for having me come in tonight to talk. So what I'm going to talk about is online branding. It sounds like some of you already have a lot of knowledge about what that is. And basically it's just using the internet to do what people used to do in newspapers or on television or by putting ads in your local store. It's taking that process of making a logo and defining who you are and what you're offering, but doing that on the internet. So I want to give you some tips and let's discuss some strategies for how to do that, to develop yourself and to grow your business. So without further ado, so a little bit about me. And I also just want to say, if I say anything or if I use a term that's unfamiliar, please let me know. I've been doing this a while and sometimes I'm not, I forget that that's not a term that everybody uses or knows. And I'm like so not offended if you're like, I don't know what you just said. Like, can you put that in terms that I understand? And I'm happy to do that, so just so that. So why am I up here today? So a little bit about my background. I currently work as a digital strategist for a firm. We do health strategy, work on health campaigns. So right now I do a lot of mobile marketing, which is on your cell phone. I manage a text messaging program that helps people quit smoking. And I do some other programs related to health as well. On my side gig, which is personal branding, so how do we take the skills that companies use to brand their products and to market their products to people and apply those to individuals? So how does an individual do that? How do they define who they are and then share that brand with other people? So that's what I'm passionate about, which is sharing that information and helping people do that. So my educational background, I have a bachelor's, I'm a liberal arts major from Yale University. I have an MBA in marketing from Kellogg School of Management. I'm also certified in change management through Georgetown University. But at the same time, I don't feel like any of those qualities necessarily define me. I think really what defines me is, like I said, the fact that no matter where I kind of end up in my career, I know how to pick myself up, change direction if I need to. When I first started working, I worked at a nonprofit organization and decided maybe that wasn't the right fit and went to business school, and I worked at a real estate company, and I worked at a startup, and I worked overseas, and I worked here. And through the process, it seems kind of crazy and all over the place, but I learned a little bit here, I learned a little bit there, and I start to tailor and narrow. And I think you guys have probably found the same thing. You start out in one area and you're like, oh, that's really terrible, I don't want to do that anymore. Let me try to move a little bit over here. And over time, you figure out who you are, what your interests are, what makes you unique, what you're good at, and get better. So another reason I'm here tonight is that because of the path that I've been on, I want to share what I've learned to help other people do what I've been doing or figure things out. Just really share my knowledge so that you don't have to find it out for yourself. I believe that we don't get to a place and then pull up the ladder after us. That it's by helping others we ultimately help ourselves. And so I want to be here and help you all and see if anything that I've learned can help you in your own businesses and in your own lives. So why brand at all? What does brand even mean? So the American Marketing Association talks about brand in terms of a logo, an image, a symbol that communicates to your audience what you stand for, what your reputation is. It can be a symbol of quality. It can be a symbol of trust, that people know that if they buy your product, that there's something behind that. It's the essence of what something stands for. And branding is really powerful. I don't know if you know this, but drug dealers even brand their street products. And so I wanted to ask you, why would they do that? Why would they bother to go through the process of trying to brand a drug? What do you think that means? Why would they do that?
Quality.
Quality, exactly.
And recognition. Recognition, this is my stuff.
Right.
Not anybody else.
Right, exactly. So in a place where you're not sure what you're getting, right? But if you see a brand and you're like, well, I had that before and that worked for me, Why not? I'll try it again. And
Current
that's
customers.
yeah, exactly. Maybe not the most discriminating consumers for sure, but that's exactly why they do it. So let's talk about some other brands that maybe are a little more recognizable and see if we can determine what it is about that brand. What does that brand stand for? So for example, Tide detergent. What do you think that brand means? What does it mean to you? It means clean, okay?
I believe they're the most sold detergents.
That's the one I buy.
And why do you buy it?
I have tried
Because it's
other
usually the most
stuff.
expensive, right?
Yes,
So why?
but the other ones tend to be so thin, it doesn't have the same result that I get with Tide, so I always end up going back to that and pay
Your
more.
brand loyalty.
So quality.
Yeah,
as
so I
well.
stuck with them.
Okay, so it cleans, and it's a quality clean. You don't have to worry about buying another one because the first one didn't do the right job. Exactly. Anyone else? I don't know if people are familiar with Tide. Maybe they use different detergent. Okay. How about the second one? Chanel. Fancy, expensive. Would you want a Chanel purse if someone walked in and gave you one?
Yes.
I'd take it. Yeah, I mean, people sell them out of the back of their cars, right? You know, it's like Funel or Canel. But yeah, I mean, the reason they do that is because that brand is so recognizable. It stands for luxury, it stands for elegance, money. Because if you look at their bags, they're actually pretty simple, right? So it's really, yeah, it's very plain. They're very plain and simple. Yeah.
But it's the way they sell it, because I think of the Devil Wears Prada, and I love that transformation that she went through and the way she looked, and I'm like, that's how I want to look. So you need all those products to look like her.
Right. And would you buy that bag?
I disagree.
And would you buy that bag if it didn't have the logo on it at all? If it was just the same quilted black bag, but it had no logo?
If it had a Fanel logo on it, probably.
It's not for the same money.
Yeah, for the same money. So there's something that a logo can add, or that a brand adds to just an ordinary product. What about the third? Is anyone familiar with Victoria's Secret? Have you seen that?
Sexy. Yeah.
It stands for sexiness.
Uncomfortable.
I don't know which one's you're buying.
That's true. Brands can mean different things to different people. That's a good
Like the
point.
one that wear for a specific type of woman.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily meet my dimensions.
And you know what, that's a really good point that we're gonna touch upon later, which is a brand has a target market in mind for who they're selling to, right? And so that's why a brand could appeal to one group of people and they see one thing and then could totally not appeal to another group of people because that may not be their target market. So I'm glad you guys you picked up on that. Anyone else? Anything about any of these brands that you want to
I
emphasize?
think they're also trying to capture on the younger audience by making really comfortable sleepwear. So, like you said, where they are going for a certain audience, they are looking at diversifying from just the sexy look and going into the more, with the tall nightshirts and the pajamas and the tops.
And what's that brand? Is that Victoria's Secret? Or is
Yeah,
that, they actually
but
have
it's Victoria's Secret.
But it's for a younger, I don't know if they have a secondary within it, but it's still Victoria's Secret, but.
right.
Do
It's
they
all
have
Victoria's
secondary
Secret, but
within
it's a brand pink.
Hey, oh yeah,
Targeted
there
towards
you go.
younger girls. And the
Right.
funny thing is, I think they
Passionate
target,
young, remember?
it's targeted maybe towards college, but you see a lot of high school girls
Yeah.
wearing it, so maybe it's ultimately targeting the high school girls. Excellent, okay, I think we've really discussed these enough. So why do I need a brand at all? What's the point of having a brand? So basically a brand is the way that you differentiate yourself or make yourself unique, show out what's unique about yourself or about your own brand. What stands out. So in a world where a lot of us could look very similar to one another, having a brand tells people what they should think about us. It tells them what they stand for, it tells them what quality that we associate ourselves, it tells them who we're targeting. And so if we want to stand out, we need to establish our brands and define what that is for other people so that we don't just look like everyone else. So now I'm going to take you through an exercise. And this exercise is called the lemonade stand. And the reason I like the lemonade stand is because it's the earliest entrepreneurial venture that a lot of us, in the States at least, have tried, which is, you want to make a little bit of money, it's a hot summer day, you mix up some lemonade in your kitchen, you set up a folding table outside on your sidewalk, and you put your pitcher and your cups, and the first person that comes along, you put your sign out and you try to sell them lemonade. Last year when we moved into our house, one of the first things we saw was 2 kids on opposite sides of the street, both with pitchers of lemonade and their cups, trying to make money. So I want you guys to picture yourselves in the similar situation. You've mixed the lemonade in your kitchen, you set up your folding table on the sidewalk, you got your chairs out, you got your sign out, you got your change box to make change. When you notice sitting on the sidewalk that there's actually 4 other little tables set up along your street, also selling lemonade for a similar price. So I want you to think about, well, what do you do now? Do you just pick up all your stuff and go back in the house when you realize, okay, it's gonna be really competitive out here to make some money today? Or do you think of other ways that you can possibly sell your lemonade or differentiate your lemonade from the lemonade everybody else is selling? So I want you to think about that. What do you do? How is your lemonade different from anyone else's lemonade?
Samplers.
Free samples?
You sell pink lemonade, okay. Everyone else is selling yellow lemonade, you sell pink lemonade.
Ice.
I think that's very
Yeah, ice cold refreshing.
Ice, okay. If it's really hot and everyone else got this lukewarm stuff that's been sitting out there a while, some ice cubes can make all the difference.
Make a
Good.
cool sign.
Make a cool sign, okay? Attracted people's attention.
Have your friends go door to door with flyers. Hey, we got lemonade 25 cents over here, come down, free gifts, balloons.
Customer experience, okay.
You like the
Excellent.
Liberty people, so dress up like a lemon.
Oh, that, yeah.
Buy 2, get 1 free,
Yeah.
okay?
Incentives.
Okay, some kind of incentives or promotions, okay?
Dress up like a lemon.
Dress up like lemon, free samples, that's a good one. So people can tell what they're getting before they purchase. Okay, so that's good. So let's dig into that a little bit more. If we have a product, and it's lemonade, how can our lemonade be different than other people's lemonade? So one idea might be, maybe everybody is selling the powdered Kool-Aid type stuff, and yours is the fresh squeezed lemons. Or it could be you have just regular lemons, and someone else has organic lemons that they grew in their backyard. And maybe the people in your neighborhood are really into organic, homegrown type goods, and that's something that appeals to them. Or someone else mentioned too, the customer experience. How do we make our customers feel valued? So for example, if you ever go into a Starbucks, and you will be going in there pretty often now, what is it about? I mean, it's coffee, right? Dunkin' Donuts sells coffee, McDonald's sells coffee. So why is it that people are willing to pay so much more for Starbucks coffee?
Brand loyalty.
Because they're not thinking.
It's
Well,
prestige.
but they are
It's
thinking.
prestige. If I'm walking
That's
around with a
exactly-
Starbucks coffee
that's
cup, I am the man or the woman, because I can afford to buy this expensive coffee. Therefore,
I like your violet.
They
They
have
very
very
fresh
environment. Very artsy
Yes,
environment. That's
yeah.
why I don't care about prestige.
Plus it has
I'm
Wi-Fi.
listening there. Yeah.
Like, they have Wi-Fi and, and a lot of times, I don't know, I think their coffee tastes, but they have like a different range of coffee than McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts has, so they actually, have better tasting stuff.
So you know what? Actually, yeah. I think those you guys are hitting on it. Starbucks was founded with the idea of customer experience, that people could go into something that felt like the neighborhood coffee shop.
culture of coffee drinking.
Yeah, they did. Where you go in and it's not just something you brew in your house, but you sit. And that's why they have Wi-Fi, because that helps people sit and stay longer. That's why they have comfy couches and chairs, because it's not just a folding chair or something where you just sit and get up as soon as possible, but they make it an environment where people want to stay. And if people want to come to your establishment, then maybe they don't mind spending 3 or 4 times what they would spend somewhere else. So you're right. Sometimes how you treat your customers is even more important than what you're offering your customers.
Basically, isn't that, you're not just trying to appeal to that customer you just spoke of, but how our board can you appeal? Because lots of times Starbucks is there because people like to be part of the in-group.
Right,
And I think that's a
right.
big driver for Starbucks. They wanna meet there to talk, discuss issues and all that. And once you click into that, that makes you feel better.
That's great, and it's not even, see, and what are you talking, you guys, nobody said anything about the coffee. Well, I think one person did, they're like, I like the flavors, yeah. They have the flavors, they know the flavor that I like, I have my mocha frappuccino.
I'm so glad I like coffee.
But it's funny because most of what people talked about had nothing to do with it, had nothing to do with coffee. If you want to meet a friend, you can tell them to meet you at, you know, McDonald's or Burger King, or you'd be like, let's meet at Starbucks. They have a nice couch, we can have coffee. Great. What about even the seller? So you, how could you differentiate yourself from everyone else in a way that might appeal to your customers?
Smile.
Smile more?
Give yourself
Yeah,
a
nobody wants to
story.
see somebody depressed and
Yeah.
you know, hanging over the lemonade table and crying into the pitcher. Yeah, it does.
Tell people your story, like, I'm selling lemonade to go on a trip next week and blah, blah, blah.
Stories are powerful. Stories are powerful. I mean, if there's two people selling pitchers of lemonade and one is like, I'm trying to fund my college education with the money I'm making from this lemonade stand, and somebody else is just like, yeah, I just want to make a couple extra bucks this week. I mean, the person that's got the powerful story, you know, they may buy a few cups of lemonade, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, because they're buying into the story, not necessarily the product.
The person,
Oh.
you're buying into the person.
You're buying into the person.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we do with a brand. We're buying into that brand. We're associating ourselves with that brand. And so that's why the brands that we support are so powerful to us, because it's not separate from us. We feel like we're a part of that. We're defining ourselves really with that brand. So I think that's some of the first steps that when we talk about creating a brand, we want to create something that people want to associate themselves with. Something that's quality, something that's honest, something that they want to be a part of. So I'm glad that you guys are getting those associations. Keep those in mind as we start talking about how to develop your own personal brand. Oh, one more point. I'm so glad nobody really mentioned lowering the price, because ultimately that's just a dead-end game, right? Because you're basically acknowledging then that your product is exactly like everybody else's product, so there's no need for, you know, you to try to earn more money. You'll just keep lowering and lowering and lowering. Eventually you can only go so low and then you go out of business. So really what you want to do is say, no, there's a value to working with me. This is what that value is, and let people buy into that. So how does this exercise help me again? So we talked about how audiences are used to seeing advertising everywhere, and I'm sure you guys are too. It's to the point where you go online, you don't even see those banner ads anymore at the top of your screen trying to get you to click on things. Or something comes on TV and you zone out on the commercials. They don't even appear to you anymore. And that's exactly how it is in the world of business, is that we're all so inundated with things trying to get our attention all the time that it's really easy to zone out, unless it's something that we care about, or something that is presented to us in a way we hadn't thought of before, or something that's just an interesting spin, or makes us laugh, or makes us feel smarter, or something we want to share with other people. So that being said, when we think about, you know, how we want to brand ourselves, we want it to be something that stands out to people, that they want to tie into and associate themselves with, so that we don't have to compete with all of that noise. People will actually come to us. So now we're going to get more into the how portion. How does this work? So I just wanted to take you through a few steps of how you can start to market yourselves online. So the first is defining your brand, and we started talking about what that looks like. The next is targeting an audience. So who wants to buy what it is that you're selling? 3, website and blog, so having your own website, having a blog. And then 4 is social media, which I'm sure you've heard of maybe once or twice over the last few years. So defining your brand. So it's also not enough just to have a general niche anymore, like I sell shoes or I sell coffee. There's just so much, those niches are so huge and those markets are so huge. You sell coffee, but so does Starbucks. So how on earth are you going to compete against their marketing dollars? Or you sell shoes. Well, so does Cole Haan, or so does Steve Madden. So how on earth are you going to sell your shoes and get people's attention in such a big space? But if you can narrow that niche down a little bit more, so maybe you sell shoes, but you sell shoes to nurses who need really comfortable shoes because they're on their feet all the time. Okay, well that's probably a market that Cole Haan isn't interested in. Or maybe you sell shoes to nurses that have special insoles that really protect their feet. It's just finding a way to really narrow your market and narrow your focus and know that market really, really well in a way that people that have more dollars and more money just aren't interested in because it's just too small a market for them. But then you can step in and own that market. So now, I wanted to start talking about how we're unique. How are we different from everyone else? So for those of you who already have a business, I want you to think about your own business and how it's unique from any other business. Maybe it's just unique because you're running it and you have certain definable qualities that no one else has. And for those of you who are still, or your businesses are more yourself, think about how you're different and how you're unique and how you're not like anyone else, what your specific qualities are. And then we're gonna work through defining those a little bit more. So my first question is, if you had to pick 3 words to describe yourself, what would those 3 words be? And you can take a few minutes to think through them. But what are the 3 words that you would use, or if you think someone else would use to describe you? If I asked your best friend, 3 words.
Me or my business, or personally me?
So it can be you, or it can be both. I guess it depends on how it depends on you. If you want to focus on your business for this one, although we are talking a lot about personal branding, it might help to start with you and then see how those qualities flow into your business. But I'll leave that up to you to decide. Yeah, I want to do that. So I wanted to give people enough time that they could come up with something that they wouldn't mind sharing. So just take maybe 30 more seconds. Really good, got to just please.
I have it.
You have yours already? Okay, we'll go in a circle, and then that way we'll see if everyone got theirs. So we'll start on this side.
So I have educator, compassionate, creative.
Okay. Educator, compassionate, creative. Great.
And it's for both personal and business.
Okay, perfect. And that makes sense. I mean, it's your business, so those qualities would naturally fall into your business. That makes sense.
I think passionate, strong-willed, and sensitive.
Nice.
Achiever, loyal,
Okay. Love passion.
Passionate, too, and strong,
Mm-hmm.
and love.
Okay, great. There's no right or wrong answers,
Yeah.
by the way. I mean, we're all unique people, so they're gonna be different.
I think nice to others and helpful, and I try to help motivate people.
Okay, great. So you're motivational, you're kind, and helpful. That's great. Great qualities.
I think passionate is very common among the business.
Really?
Passionate, visionary, and thrive on helping people doing the best they can.
Okay.
Perfectionist, very friendly or kind to people, and creative.
and shy.
Not at all.
But that's that's a quality best, that's not your brand. I think the ones that you said before. Sounds right.
Yeah, I am multicultural, I am connecting, and I am intelligent.
Okay. Great.
Analytical, curious, introspective.
Nice.
Nothing so fancy.
Generous, likable, and knowledgeable.
Okay.
I just use a simple line I've used before. My business is to make you best at yours.
Make you
My
best
business
at-
is to make you best at yours.
Oh, okay. Are you a coach?
I did a lot of that, yeah.
Okay.
And other small businesses who were starving just like me.
Yeah, they start out that way.
Confident, creative, and fun-loving.
Compassionate, persistent, and positive.
Talented, cocky, and energetic.
All good qualities for entrepreneurs to have.
I have confident, friendly, and humble.
Okay.
I have passion, good standard, and attitude.
And attitude?
Yeah.
You know your stuff, right? You got hold on.
Energetic, constant, and deliberate.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Good. So it sounds like you guys know yourselves really well. I had to
I'm
text.
impressed.
Yeah. I am too. Awesome. Oh yes. I'm sorry, we missed one.
I guess mine would be driven, resilient, and creative.
Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, you guys are ahead of the game. I had to text a few of my friends and ask them like, hey, if you could pick 3 words really fast about me, what would you use? And the great thing, well, one was that they said pretty nice things, but 2, that they all kind of aligned. And I said, you know what? That must be my brand. I'll go with that. Thank you. So great. So what we want to move on to from there, my turn, is defining how we are different from other people. So in terms of thinking here, it's far better to do one thing with excellence than do a lot of other things just so-so or not very well. And so I want you guys also now to start thinking about what it is about your skills or experience or interest or knowledge that's unique. You know, how can you add that to your business, or what can you offer in your business in a way that other people can't? So a lot of times in businesses, what they talk about is a competitive advantage. And all that means is, what is it that you can offer because of those same things, what you're good at, what you can do faster than anyone else, what you know more about than anyone else. And once you define those things, you turn it into an advantage in the sense that other people can't compete with you on it, because you'll always be the best. And so I want you to think about what it is about you that you could offer a service that no one else could offer. So for instance, just in terms of thinking about myself and my own background, the way I even got into personal branding is that I had started out, I've always been a resilient person, but I didn't know what that term meant or what that knowledge meant. And in order to be resilient, you have to get knocked down a bunch of times. And then you just keep standing back up, because you don't really have a choice. And so starting your own thing, really, you have to be a pretty resilient person. I got into marketing by kind of a back channel. I went to a school that was really good in marketing, and I figured, oh, I'll take some classes in that since I'm here. But I was always really interested in strategy, and I was always really interested in helping people. And so it was only when I kind of got my current job that I realized, oh, I really like this whole digital marketing thing. And so now I have, in a way, a competitive advantage, because I do have experience doing digital marketing, and I have experience, like I said, being an entrepreneur and doing some of that, and I have a marketing background. And I don't mind getting knocked down and going in front, speaking in front of people, and some people liking it, some people not liking it. And all of those things together are coming together in a competitive advantage that only I will be able to offer. Because only I have my background, my specific experiences, my specific work background, just like all of you have only your specific attributes. So I want to think, and in this we don't have to go around the room for it, but did anyone come up with something that they think really differentiates their business from what anyone else is offering?
Me.
It is you. And what about you specifically makes what you're offering different from what someone else? Tell me again what your business was?
It's photography and writing.
Photography. Okay, so a lot of people do photography. So why you? What is it specifically about?
I think it's my previous experiences and my perspective. I have a different perspective from most other people. People point and click. There's nothing wrong with that. But I found that with my pictures, with my background and the things that I look at, when I show my pictures to other people, they're always amazed at the perspective. It's a different story that I'm telling.
Is there a process that you use so that you get like a different image? Because you're right, like I just paid somebody to do headshot pictures. And yet when I looked at the portfolio of all the photographers I was considering, I liked his the best. And you're like, well, they all took pictures, right? They're all people's heads,
right.
but there was definitely a certain thing about his pictures that I liked. So is there a process that you use to do that? Is it something about your process? Or
Actually, I
something
know it
else?
sounds weird, but it's the subject itself. It's not about me, it's about the picture I'm taking and what that person or that object brings to the picture.
So how do you communicate that to someone? If I'm considering you to be a photographer and I'm looking at like 3 other photographers, how is it that I decide that you're gonna understand me the best? How do you advertise yourself or market your definable qualities or characteristics or your brand in a way that lets me know why you're different from those other photographers?
But first of all, you're never gonna have a conversation.
Okay.
There has to be contact. So you're not gonna have a conversation, and I would talk to you and ask you questions about what specifically kind of pictures you're looking for. If you're looking for a headshot to put on the back of a book cover, then I'm not gonna slap you up behind one of those screens. I'll probably take you outside, or I'll take you to your home, or I'll take you to some place where you feel the most comfortable. And I would also influence to some respect when you're actually in the studio, your mood, right? You're gonna come away feeling wonderful about me and the job that I'm gonna do for you, and naturally the pictures that I've taken.
Or even, what about the type of photography?
That's
So right, like, so we mentioned headshots, but other people only do weddings.
Yeah.
Some people only do parties or like kids' birthday parties. Other people just do like business or corporate shots. So yeah, I think you're good. And I like that you talked about focusing on your customer first. At the end of the day, any successful business owner has to focus on the customer first.
She's also really soothing. Like, I took pictures of her a few weeks ago, and she really makes you feel comfortable.
That's great. And you know what? A good photographer has to do that, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise you have these pictures like this.
Like, as you're taking pictures, she's like, you know that you're beautiful, and she's just motivating you and just really gets you to be, like, gets that natural smile out of you.
And you know what's great is when you have people that you've worked with that can say those things about you. That's word of mouth is everything. It'll sink you, or it'll help you rise to the top. It's everything. That's actually how I found a photographer for my baby's first pictures was word of mouth. Just someone that said that they loved someone. So you're right. That's like testimonials can really set you apart as well.
Make sure you bake her every day.
Yeah, really. Get her words and put them on your website. That's good marketing right there. It's the best. What about anyone else? Have you started thinking about your okay? What differentiates you?
Yeah, I think because my whole reason for business is to kind of tell people's stories and like tell untold stories. I think I have a unique perspective because I came from an acting background, and then I did a lot of traveling and going to different countries, and so I've really learned how to pick up people's speech and people's rhythms, because first it was my job as an actor to kind of like mimic people and figure out what made them tick, and then traveling you kind of just get into that naturally, and so I think that in like conjunction with my cockiness, with me being really bold, makes me kind of think that I can change the world and think that I can do it by telling people